Konnichiwa everyone, it's Dan from JaDan.co.uk and today I'm here to talk to you about the biggest challenges you're going to face if you move to Japan. Cheers for finding my video everyone, thanks a lot, I appreciate that. Today's video is all about some challenges that you're likely to face if you end up moving to Japan. I come from England, Japan's quite different as you might guess. And basically I encountered some challenges when I first came here that I didn't really expect. So I'm going to tell you today kind of 5 challenges that can be really difficult. It's actually a bonus point which I'll talk about in a minute. But let's get started. Numero uno, which I think is Spanish for first one. First one is you're going to need a bank account. Like if you're going to work here and you're going to stay here, you need to get paid. Like gots to get paid, fam. So yeah, you're going to need a bank account of some kind. First things first, a lot of the big banks just won't touch you because you're foreign, like unless you've got an interpreter, and who's going to hire an interpreter to go to bank? Like, just don't do it. Like, the best bets if you're going to do this is like the post office, they'll let you open an account, and Shinsei Bank is kind of a more modern bank and they've got like a better English support on the phones, and they've also got iPads in the branch which can use English. I did make a video yonks and yonks ago when I first got here about opening a bank account in Japan. It's going to be in the description box and the YouTube cards if you want to check that out. But I highly suggest Shinsei. They seem to be the best bet. And yeah, that's a bit of a challenge I didn't know because I couldn't really speak Japanese. And I originally went to the post office. There's one in my hometown and I went there and it took like 3 hours to kind of rock up and Google Translate my way to getting an account. At one point, like, because I forgot that Japanese names go other way around, it's like surname, first name, and they don't like middle names. At one point they told me my passport were wrong, and I was like, how is my passport wrong? But yeah, that were 3 hours of banging my head against the wall that I could have done with that, so don't do that. If you are going to go to the post office, learn as much Japanese as you can relating to bank accounts, like search for phrases like, I want to open a bank account. You need a special kind of account that you can get money into, because they will offer bank accounts but you can't get paid into them and stuff like that. So you have to be careful. There's loads and loads of resources online telling you what to apply for, and that's going to be a bit of a challenge for you. So be wary of that. Second thing that you should be wary of is like phone, like an internet. So when I got here, like none of the phone companies had touched me. I ain't got a credit card. I ain't got like a way they could really charge me easily. And there's a lot of contracts involved. It's not the same as it is back in England. And basically they just won't touch me. So what I ended up doing, I went to Asahi Net, which is an online kind of company. And they do like web services and mobile phone service in Japan. But the website offers English support. And what I ended up doing, I brought my iPhone C with me from England. And it were unlocked so I could put any SIM in it. And at first I was just using the traveller SIMs, you know, like the 30-day traveller SIM, no number, which were alright. And then I ended up buying a WiMAX router. I think it worked out to be about 30 quid a month, pretty much unlimited data, and I could connect as many devices I wanted to this thing. And that worked really well at first. I think even the first 6 months were free or something like that. It were really good. So what I ended up doing were not having a SIM card in my phone and connecting via Wi-Fi to this little router, which then connected to 4G. And that were good, but you then left with a problem, you don't have a phone number. So what I ended up doing was getting a Skype number. It were like 050 non-geographic kind of Skype number. And that served okay. People were confused when you write it on forms, like what is 050, like what is that? But it served me okay until one day my good friend Shorty-chan, she was like, I'm sick of this, marched me to Rakuten Mobile. And yeah, we went and sat there, she did all talking, and I came out with a SIM card with some data. I'm not really sure what I signed up for. I think it's about 3,000 yen a month and I get like 10 gig of data and a phone number. I don't really use phone number, it's just there because I need it for stuff when you're filling out forms. But yeah, that were helpful because I had a friend who could speak Japanese to do that. From what I understand, you can do this online and it's maybe a little easier. And if you can go into a Rakuten store, they do try to help you and they're much more open to letting foreigners have a go. So if you're looking for a phone, you can also sign up for a phone handset too. That's part of the deal, you can do that. I wanted SIM only, so that were a little different. And yeah, basically Rakuten Mobile is the way to go for that. So, third thing that were a bit of a challenge, if I'm completely honest, is like the language in general. Don't know what that was, somebody's noisy outside. Language in general. Even if you study before you come here, like from a textbook, when you get here it's different. And it's really hard. Like, it's such a mountain to climb. And don't fall into this trap of like, right, I'm going to study every day for a year and I'm going to be fluent. Nah, you're not. You're going to do it for about a month and then get sick of it. So immersion's the best way to learn. So, you know, speak to people, listen to people. Of course, you need to study grammar and stuff too. So you're going to need a textbook of some kind. But practice is like the best way to try and learn something. Don't try and learn everything. At first, just learn what you need to get by. Like daily phrases and stuff. You don't need to know kanji straight off at bat, unless you're like academic and you want to study that. But like when you first get here, you need to survive and just learn survival stuff, man. Like that's all I did, and then build on top of that. What I would often do is I would try and talk to people. I'd often go to like standing bars or something and just talk to the next person. And when they said something I didn't understand, I'd make a mental note. And then when I got home, I'd like study what that word, like, well, I don't understand that, what is that? And then the next time I went there, I'd try and say that phrase to somebody else. And then I'd see what they said back. Because that way I've learned a new phrase, and I've learned what to respond if somebody says it to me. And it's done in a natural environment. You're much more likely to remember stuff if it's in a situation rather than a textbook. So stuff like that is really good practice. Try and take Japanese lessons. Most places where you live, there's going to be an international association that will offer some kind of Japanese lessons. If not, there's plenty of stuff on internet. But yeah, you're going to need to study Japanese. Like, lots of people say you can get by without it. Like, if you've got like a Japanese wife or husband or something, they're going to do most of the Japanese talking. That's cool. But not everyone's in that boat. And there's going to be times when you're on your own and you're going to need to speak Japanese. You can get by without it, but it's hard. Like, why would you make life hard for yourself? Just, you know, grit your teeth, bear it, crack on, study a bit of that Nihongo I keep hearing about. You'll not regret it. Fourth thing I want to tell you about today is counting to 4. No, I'm kidding. It's friendship. And friendship in Japan is a little different to how it is back in England. In England, I had a very close-knit group of friends. We'd hang out all the time. We'd see each other all the time. We'd do stuff all the time. And that, to me, is what friendship is like. But then I came to Japan and it works a bit different here. Friends are more likely to be people you see every couple of months or something, and you just go out for a drink, and it's not like a everyday kind of friendship thing, and it's a bit different. And making friends in Japan is hard work for a number of reasons. The first reason is things like the language, which we've already talked about is going to be a problem for most people. Second is like time. The chances are if you're teaching English here, you're going to have some kind of weird schedule or something, so finding time to actually go out and meet people and stuff is going to be hard work. And the third is like in Japan, everyone's already got a social circle, and it's hard to join somebody else's social circle when you haven't really got a clue what you're doing. So that's going to be tough. What I tended to do to make friends is I'd often go to like a city and I'd go to a standing bar and I'd just talk to the person next to me. Like, they're rarely likely to become very good friends, but they might be friends for a night, and that's better than nothing, you know what I mean? So I'd often go to a bar and just talk to the next person and get to know them a bit. Maybe we'll trade line details and meet up in future at some point. Most of the time you never end up speaking to them again, but it's good for that one night, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's better than nothing. You could also get a hobby. Like, most of my friends I ended up making at concerts or gigs or whatever, and often I'd be the only foreigner there except for Sam, who's always there. And especially because I'm making videos, people kind of notice what you're doing and talk to you about it. And then that's a good way to open doors. You've got something in common, you like the same music, and music events happening all the time, so you've always got a reason to go to a place and talk to people anyway. So that's a good thing. I mean, gigs is how I met Taka-chan, and Taka-chan's one of my best friends, so he's currently in Canada studying English, but he's an awesome guy. And sometimes I just talk to people on the street, to be honest. Like when I first came here, I met Ryo and Saori. I mean, that I don't really talk about them anymore because there was some kind of bad stuff that went down. But when I first came here, they were really, really good friends of mine. And I met them because I was playing Pokemon Go on the street and vaping. And Rio were vaping and Sarah were playing Pokemon Go. So we just talked and ended up becoming pretty good friends. Shorty-chan I met because she lives in my city and we just sort of hang out. That's cool. And yeah, I've also got Onoshi, who I just happened to meet when I was drunk one day. And he was drunk and we were just outside 7-Eleven smoking. And then we became friends and I see him quite a lot. So you make friends in the most weird ways. You can also make friends with other Gaijins, right? There's plenty of us about. I mean, it is a bit weird to kind of fall into that Gaijin bubble trap. But like I've got Sam and David and Chelsea and a few other people that I work with. And I hang out with them and they're like really good friends. Probably some of my best friends in Japan. It's a bit weird because if I wanted to just make English friends, I would have stayed home. But in the same thing, it's nice to have somebody to talk to, somebody that's in the same situation as you. So yeah, that's pretty cool too. So basically, try a lot, get a hobby, and try again. So that's my advice for you on this one. And the final challenge, well, that makes it sound like it's an end boss or something, but it's not. The last thing I kind of want to mention today is the working culture is very different in Japan to where I come from. You know, like working 5 days a week is normal, but then like there's the overtime, like the forced overtime. It's not forced, but it's kind of heavily implied that it's forced. So that's going to be difficult. Of course, most of the time your residence or your visa is somehow attached to your company, so they've kind of got that over you as well. I'm making it sound worse than it is, but it can be very tough to get used to that working culture. The customer's always right kind of thing, and yeah, very different to where I come from, so that were quite hard to get used to. Dealing with different situations, like cultural differences, while you're working is kind of hard. Like, for example, if I'm tired at work in England, I just yawn. In Japan, I ain't ever yawning in front of people, like, no way. It's just not a thing here. And like, sometimes in class I need to yawn. So I'll just be like super pondering like, ooh, yeah, that's a really good point. You know what I mean? Like I had to like try and hide the fact that I want to yawn, which is a natural bodily function just because it's really not done in Japan. So there's some weird stuff like that to get used to. The lack of holiday days is another one. Like I get 10 holiday days a year and plus some national holidays. Whereas in England I get like 26. So yeah, getting used to working a lot is quite difficult. For me, I work in an Eikaiwa, so I work when other people aren't working. So getting used to the weird shift is kind of tough too. And just generally the work culture, like the senpai-kohai relationship that doesn't exist in English, getting used to that kind of stuff is going to take some doing. So most of them things are quite negative, right? But that's me nitpicking at stuff. It's not all negative. They're the kind of the worst points that you're going to encounter at first. As an additional bonus point, it's not something that applied to me because my company sorted me out with an apartment, but getting somewhere to live is going to be pretty difficult. That's a whole other video in itself. My friend David recently just moved apartments and he had a bit of an experience doing it, so I'm going to try and get him on the channel, have a chat with him about what it takes to find an apartment and move in Japan, what kind of stuff you needed to do. So that's going to be coming in a different video in the future, hopefully in the next month or so. Anyway, that was a lot of talking, wasn't it? So, today's question is, have you ever moved to another country and what is the biggest challenge you faced? Or, if you're thinking about coming to Japan, what is it that worries you the most when you get here? Comment section, let a bro know. Don't forget, I'm now on Patreon, so if you want some behind the scenes footage and extra stuff, maybe even some candy, description box, JaDan on Patreon, check it out. But until then, I'm gone. So, as always, until next time, Jamata!